Hello, my name is Matthew Stevens, and I'll be analysing a critical issue relating to multimodal text and multiliteracies. The issue that I'll be discussing in relation to multimodal text, multiliteracies, and students with diverse learning needs is the use of technological assistance, and it is weakening students' literacy skills. Throughout this presentation, I will be discussing how multimodal platforms are used in the classroom, technology's relationship with literacy development, its ability to assist students with special needs of learning, if technology is impacting the fundamental literacy skills, and my professional experience with technology and literacy. Discussing the impact of multimodal resources and multiliteracies within the classroom, multimodal resources are resources can play a key part in modern education and can provide positive impacts on both the teacher's ability to teach as well as students' ability to learn. For educators, multimodal resources are fantastic for teachers to create and find resources that can meet the needs for all learners within the classroom, as well as can be engaging for learners. For students, it allows for them to be able to represent their ideas in a variety of ways in which they showcase their skills and understandings of the topic. The significance of multiliteracies is also an emerging concept that as students thinking about being able to be literate outside of a linguistic sense and being able to apply the literacy skills of analysing, comprehending, decoding to other forms of information such as visual, auditory, gestural, and many other forms. In fact, according to Kumpulannan, multiliteracy helps us make sense of and evaluate information, arguments, and opinions, and if necessary, challenge them. We are discussing multimodal resources within the classroom. There is a direct relationship to the use of technology within the classroom, as these two ideas are connected, as the multimodal resources we use are based around websites, videos, programs, and so forth. The use of multimodal resources and technology within the classroom has tremendous benefits for many areas of the curriculum and teaching strategies, such as STEAM-related areas of work along with inquiry-based units. However, do these three ideas of multimodal text, multiliteracies, and technology pair within a literacy classroom, and do these ideas create conflict and concerns with literacy development? In relation to the use of technology within the classroom, specifically looking at the use of multimodal text and formats, we are able to find ways in which we are able to cater to a vast variety of student needs that might present within the classroom, such as disease, disability, or difficulties that may cause them to have difficulty understanding specific modes of information, such as dyslexia and the ability to read, and visual impairments and the ability to see images. Through providing alternatives for accessing information and presenting information through the use of multimodal resources, we are able to cater for the needs of the classroom as well as through these technologies allow for students to present their own understandings that isn't impacted by the disability or difficulty. Looking at the Disability Standards of Education Act of 2005, this Act states in Section 6.2 Part 1, the education provider must take reasonable steps to ensure that their course or program is designed in such a way that student is, or any student with a disability is, able to participate in the learning experiences. This is where the use of assisting technologies and multimodal resources can really benefit assisting students with disabilities and difficulties to ensure that they have access to the same information and can participate in the learning experience. The Universal Design for Learning also discusses different ways in which teachers are able to cater for the needs of all learners, and discussing that teachers need to provide options for a variety of teaching practices and learning opportunities. Some of these rely on multimodal resources and the ability to cater to all needs of the diverse classroom, such as providing options for perception and providing audio and visual alternatives, along with providing options for expression and communication, allowing diverse learners the ability to use technology and multimodal resources and text to be able to present their ideas in the class. This is shown clearly if you have a look throughout this website. It is hyperlinked. You'll be able to see some of the codes on the website, click through it, and it will discuss the importance of providing those alternatives. The Victorian Department of Education also discusses the significance for teachers to be able to cater to the needs of all students and discusses the different forms of technology that can assist students learning with variety of needs, as well as discusses how significance of the impact of multimodal text has on literacy development. Moving into discussing the relationship between technology and literacy, looking at multimodal literacy, the Victorian Department of Education and Training says Multimodal literacy is an emerging area of importance in the literacy curriculum, as everyday communication practices are increasingly shaped by information and multimodal technologies and multimedia technologies. Technology and literacy have a more complicated pairing than other areas of the curriculum, such as STEAM and inquiry related areas of work, as a lot of the literacy skills that we need students to develop aren't done through technology. English and literacy development is based around the development of a collective group of skills, such as reading, writing, spelling, grammar, comprehension, and many other skills. Sorry about that. Specific areas of the English and literacy could very much so benefit from the use of assistive technologies and multimodal resources, such as the improvement of reading, comprehension, and decoding, as there are plenty of useful websites out there assisting learners with these skills, and one's displayed on here, for example, such as Reading Theory and RHL. Technology within literacy classes allows for students to be able to, with specific learning needs, to be able to express their ideas and understandings through other formats, such as through the use of multimodal format rather than just writing an essay on paper. It allows students for more variety in being able to be creative and express ideas and showcasing their understanding. Although technology and literacy can work well together in specific aspects, it can be very beneficial for developing specific learning literacy skills along with developing multi-literacy skills and the ability to create and comprehend multimodal text. It is clear that there are gaps within this where other aspects of literacy are forgotten about, and I want to discuss those gaps as my issue. Are literacy skills being lost within this push for the use of multimodal text along with the force of developing multiliteracies? Technology in literacy classroom limits the amount of time students spend practicing skills such as handwriting, spelling, and the appropriate use of grammar. The use of assistive technologies such as platforms that use autocorrect and spell check limits students' ability to spell and apply grammar independently, limiting students' practice of these skills along with becoming lazy students and having the technology do the work for them. Technology within literacy classrooms also limits the amount of handwriting students get to practice, as if the teachers are assigning tasks that are based around using other technology platforms, students are not regularly practicing their handwriting skills and will not develop these skills to be able to write successfully and neatly. The issues are created concerns about how beneficial technology is within the literacy classrooms due to the underdevelopment of their skills, creating a need for educators to evaluate the impact of technology's benefits for students along with evaluating the significance of the underdevelopment of their skills and the long-term repercussions it can have on students. A case study conducted by King Wei discussed the use of a wide range of language development apps within the classroom and concluded that the overall language learning experience is limited by the student's exposure to fragmented input and poorly conceptualized output. What this is saying is that a wide range of different resources may not necessarily benefit students' learning, but we can weaken it as their input receiving is fragmented and not well structured, delivered, along with the idea with some of these resources may not be accurate for Australian students, such as the use of American websites and how they spell words differently and different words have different meanings. Although the use of multimodal resources within the classroom can benefit students' learning along with the development of multiliteracies can provide can positively benefit students' learning, these resources within our classroom are potentially weakening students' skills and ability to be able to write, spell, and use appropriate grammar, a skill that may be lost within this digital age. I would like to discuss a personal experience I had on my teaching round where I saw a teacher use technology within a literacy classroom in a way that I thought was not only did not benefit student learning, but took away a learning opportunity from the students. Within one of my placements, we were doing a creative writing activity where students were able to create a story based around a season of the year, where students would use adjectives and adverbs. In this activity, the teacher instructs the students to do a draft on the computer to help students spell the words correctly and use spell check to fix your grammar, and then to later do a good copy on paper to write out the correct spelling and appropriate grammar. As a pre-service teacher, I did not agree with this strategy as I believe that the teacher took away a learning experience from the students in making them use an assistive technology to do half of the work for them, while all they had to do was think of a story to write it on paper when they were done. I understand that although these technology resources are extremely beneficial for learning, along with catering for special needs of learners, however, if they are not used appropriately, it can have a negative impact on the teaching and learning experience. Another case study conducted within the US stated that in response to looking at the impact of online learning or remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, this research group used data from a large US longitudinal study that predict that children aged 4 to 6 years old will have 67% less literacy ability gained during COVID-19 school closures than they would normally have. This has an underlying relation with the use of 21st century technologies, as young learners are not practicing those literacy skills they needed through remote learning and through digital technologies, which is believed to have created a setback on literacy skills across the age group. When discussing the benefits of these multimodal resources it can have within the classroom, the total impact of these technologies and multimodal resources within the classroom need to be considered when discussing the overall impact on impacting literacy, and does the focus on multiliteracies during literacy classes reduce the linguistic development? Although the overuse of multimodal resources in literacy classes may have resulted in neglecting the specific literacy skills, along with the idea that focusing on other forms of literacy, students need to learn these skills. Students need to develop their ability to comprehend and use multimodal resources and multiple forms of literacy to share their ideas, analyze, comprehend, and evaluate within this modern era. The skills presented within analyzing multimodal text extend to much beyond literacy and develop students' ability to not only access a wide range of information presented across different modes, but also can positively impact their learning within the future through developing an understanding of these technologies, how we are able to use multiple forms of literacy to communicate ideas and concepts. Within the modern classroom and the modern areas of work, we need for technology understanding is essential, and the ability to communicate ideas and concepts through multiple modes of communication is essential for teaching and learning. However, it is essential that we ensure that these technologies and modes of communication do not overpower traditional literacy education. Development of computer-assisted language learning, or CAL, and mobile-assisted language learning, MAL, have provided language learners and language instructors complex and sophisticated technologies applications meant to provide growth opportunities for language learners. Literacy education has changed where we can't afford to keep these technological advancements outside of our lessons, as they have too much value for teaching students essential literacy skills through the various websites, platforms, and resources. And although the development of multimodal text and multiliteracies are essential skills as well, it is important that we are not leaving behind key aspects of literacy with this new push for multimodal text. The issue of if traditional literacy is being lost through the push through these multimodal text and through focusing on developing multiliteracies is an issue that can be resolved with balance. Multimodal text and digital technologies within the literacy classroom are fantastic resources that assist students' development a wide range of literacy skills and developing a better understanding of applying these skills to multiple forms of literacy. Multimodal text and platforms are also extremely beneficial for those students who are impacted by learning difficulties and disabilities and cater to the needs of those ensure that they are able to participate within the lesson and have access to the same content. There are concerns within the use of technology negatively impacting development of other literacy skills. However, I believe with training on how to appropriately use these resources when teaching literacy classes, along with finding a balance where students can develop both of these skill sets is essential. While schools celebrate print literacies and print practices, young children increasingly engage with multimedia practices along with print-based literacies practices in information settings. The balance of the use of these assistive technologies, as well as the balance of curricular focuses, for example, ensuring that we don't spend too much time and resources focusing on non-linguistic literacy, is essential when discussing either positive or negative impact it can have on literacy learning. However, if used appropriately with moderation, multimodal text and the assistive technologies can be extremely beneficial for learners and can, especially with the focus of catering for the all needs of learners with developing a rich understanding of multiple forms of literacy. Here are the resources I used during my presentation. Thank you very much.